5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Diary of a Kidney Warrior. Sharing faith, knowledge, hope, and love.
Hi, and welcome to Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast. My name is Dee Moore, and I am a stage 4 kidney warrior. This podcast is dedicated to encourage, educate, and inspire as we explore all aspects of kidney disease, chronic illnesses, and health. If you have any questions or ideas for future topics you would like me to cover, please do get in touch with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter using the handle Diary of a Kidney Warrior. In today's episode, I am bringing you the third in a series of warrior women stories. Now, there's always something you can learn from someone's story, something that can bring inspiration and hope. My guest today from Cambridge, England, is 43-year-old wife and full-time working mum of one, Sharon Haynes. Sharon is a 2-time kidney transplant recipient and is determined to live life to the full. Hi, and welcome to Diary of a Kidney Warrior, the podcast. How are you doing today, Sharon?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. I'm really excited to hear your story and to share the knowledge that you have with our listeners. So I'm going to kick off with my first question, and this is, how did your kidney warrior journey begin and how were you diagnosed?
Well, I was diagnosed in 1997, December. I was 20, and I was diagnosed by my doctor because she thought I may have had meningitis. I woke up one morning and my right side of my body was limp. I'd had a mini stroke overnight. Wow. It came out of the blue. I'm not textbook. My doctor, Charing Cross, who I was under, said I was the worst patient she'd ever met.
Oh, okay.
It was because I had no symptoms. I could have been walking down the street and collapsed and end up in hospital with a line in my neck. So that's why she referred me as being the worst patient, because I had no symptoms of kidney disease, of anything. I was basically a 20-year-old woman that was working full-time and go out two or three nights a week with my friends, and that was it. And then one morning I wake up and that had all changed.
Wow. So how did you, that must have been an incredible shock to your system.
It was, and it was about, I'd say, 2 weeks before Christmas as well. So I remember I went out for Christmas dinner with a work colleague of mine. We got together, just the two of us, and I caught food poisoning from that meal. And the renal doctors, actually said that was the best thing that ever happened, because it was the getting food poisoning literally brought up to the surface, obviously the kidney failure. So I don't know, and to this day, nobody knows what my kidney failure, why it happened. They pointed it out to whether I was born with small kidneys, or whether I had underlying kidney disease that hadn't been noticed right from birth to when they found out at 20.
Wow, that is incredible. So how did you begin to get your head around having this sudden onset of knowing, overnight that you've got kidney disease? How did you get your head around it? How did you come to terms with it?
I don't think I did it originally, because 20 years old, I was living at home as you do at 20 with mum and dad and the dog. And then I thought, it's fine, I've got, years ahead of me, no problem. They'll keep an eye on me, and that was it. But it was they said to me in January, we'll keep an eye on you. Your moment, obviously, I was still weeing bucket load, so that wasn't. I know kidney disease, you can have loss of urine output. I had no major symptoms. I was doing as I was told. And within the appointment from the January, I was on dialysis in the April. That's how quickly I deteriorated in 3 months. And to look at me, I looked normal, if you can say normal. I didn't look ill. I didn't look tired. You know, yes, I'd lost weight, but that was through healthy eating and cutting out all the rubbish. And I lost 3 stone in a year. So it's not excessive. I was literally following like Weight Watcher points. So it wasn't as though I was doing anything out of the ordinary. And then to be told, oh, you're going to, you go on dialysis, what do you want to do? Because they didn't want to do hemo because they said it'd be too much of a burden on me, like 3 times a week, in hospital, such a machine for 4 hours. So I chose PD, and I was going to do the APD, the overnight machine. And that takes a bit of time. They have to order the machine for you and then set everything up. And then at the last minute, I changed my mind. I said, I want to do PD, but I want to do the bags. And that's how it went on for 8 months. I did PD, bags, started off 4 times a day, and then went to 3 times a day.
So how was the process of being on peritoneal dialysis?
In a way, I think I just went into blinker mode and got on with it. Because at that time I had a boyfriend, my best friend got married, I was turning 21, so I was looking at that more than doing dialysis. Because with what I was doing, I could still go out. You know, I had no limit. You know, yes, I had to be in by a certain time to do my dialysis, but that worked around me, not me work around it. So that was the easy part.
And what was the hard part of it?
I don't know. Before I went on dialysis, I literally said I would rather die than do dialysis. You know, I was 20. You know, I just thought, hey, that's my life over. And it wasn't until my cousin, who'd had her first child, and she was pregnant with her second one, said, you've got to do this because the baby I'm carrying, I want you to be godmother. And he is now 22. I'm still waiting to be godmother. But I'm still here.
So do you believe that challenge that she gave you is what gave you the strength to do it?
I think it was also my friends as well, because I know a lot of people have friends shy away from them and sort of not see them as much. But I've known a lot of my friends from the age of 2 or 3, and I'm now 43. So I've had friends, my best friend I've known for 41 years.
Oh.
And we are still best friends. But you'd think we were sisters.
So has having kidney disease affected how you see yourself as a woman?
No. I am just me. Since I had kidney failure, I've obviously when I had my first one, my boyfriend at the time, I've known him since senior school, and he literally went through, because before he turned up on the day I had my PD put my PD sort of tube put in. You know, I woke up and he was at my bedside. We weren't even going out at that point. He just turned up, and it was literally, obviously, he was a friend. And then we got together at my best friend's wedding. And we were together for May 98 to November 99, it wasn't the kidney that put us apart, it was his mum. So I think if I stayed with him, I think I'd have killed him, but there you go, it's different. But I think nothing has changed me, but since I've had my first transplant, I met my now husband, I've had a baby, and I'm now on my second transplant, but that'll be 1 year old next month. So I'm still me, just with different parts.
Sorry.
Or my husband said, spare parts.
So rewinding slightly. So you were on dialysis, and then you had your first kidney transplant.
I did. So I was very lucky because my family wanted to save me, say, I'll give you a kidney. So my mum was tested, my dad, my aunt, and my 2 cousins. And they whipped it down to my dad and his sister, my aunt, because my mum's not the same blood group as me. My cousin was of childbearing age, and my other cousin only had the same blood group as me, no other factors. And they said they would try my dad first, because he being my dad, I would have more in common with him than my aunt. So she would be my backup if anything down the line in testing did happen. But the good thing is, my dad was a perfect match, and he was a 000, which you can't get better than that. And I had my transplant December the 1st, 1998. So it was a year from finding out to actually having the transplant was a year. I was very lucky.
And what difference did having the transplant make to your life?
I didn't realise I was running on empty, because being on PD, you have obviously glucose bags, which is sugar, so you have the energy. But when I had my transplant, I had more energy, I had colour back in my cheeks, as my mum said, and I got my figure back. I was no longer, as my friend says, I was a lamppost. I had no belly, no boobs, and no bum. I was a lamppost. And I put on a stone in a week in hospital because steroids and the fluid. But then I was in for 3 weeks, and I lost it all because they were making me walk to the furthest toilet in the ward. I wasn't allowed to go because back then there wasn't, like in hospital now, you have a toilet in every ward, but back then you didn't. You only had 1, 2 or 3 toilets for the whole section. And they'd make me walk from the TV room where my bed was right way to the bottom and back again. And it'd take me half an hour to go down and back again. And by the time I was back, I did another wee. I hadn't stopped going to the toilet when I was still on dialysis, but I literally went for a wee, I'd say, every half an hour. But it was good because it meant the kidney was working, and my body would get back to normal, and it was taking out all the toxins normally, rather than having dialysis and medication and not being able to eat this or eat that. So yeah, it gave me some freedom back. I could eat anything, drink anything, but just make sure that there was a toilet and I could just nip out and go for a wee when I needed to.
So you went on to have a second transplant?
I did, yes.
So tell me about that.
Bob, who was my first kidney, now off my dad, she was doing really well. And I had slight rejection when my son was born. I had antibodies attack the kidney, but after 2 rounds of plasma exchange and IVIG, that got sorted. And then I was going along really well, job, and I got made redundant, so I had a new job. I'd been there, I'd say 3 months, and then I caught E. coli. And then that turned into sepsis. And then the sepsis started, the kidneys failed again. And it finally packed up on my 40th birthday. And instead of going to New York for my birthday, I was in hospital doing dialysis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not the best birthday present.
Not the best thing, no. And I was under Hammersmith, because I've been with them since my transplant. I live in Cambridgeshire, but I don't trust anybody else but Hammersmith. You know, my local is Addenbrooke's, but they don't know me as well as Hammersmith do. They have, I would say, 20 folders on me. You know, they know me from the time I got transferred from Charing Cross to Hammersmith, because that's where you have all the transplants at the time, was at Hammersmith. And some of the doctors are still there to this day. So they know me better than I know myself. So that's why I stayed with them. And because I lived too far away to dialyse with Hammersmith, I was going to originally do PD. That was okay for a few weeks. And I was transferred to Lister, which is my local. But I kept getting leaks in my bag. And it wasn't working. So they said what they would do is to give me a break from PD, is to do temporary haemodialysis. And I found that so much, in a way, better than PD, because PD I was doing 4 times a day. So that meant me having to come home from work, and it was sort of pretty much set hours. It's like every 6 to 8 hours you would have to do dialysis, where hemo, I started out on 3 hours. So it's 3 hours, 2 times a week, and I felt freer, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Some people find PD freer because they can work around that, but because I've got a husband, a son, a job, and everything else, I just couldn't do it in the end. And I thought, you know, first time round, easy peasy. I was 20. I had no issues. I didn't have peritonitis. I had no leaks, no line issues, so tube issues. I thought I could do it again, but didn't work out. And I did hemo for just over 2 years, just from September 17 to October 19, up until I had my transplant, the second one.
So how was the process of having your second transplant?
Well, second transplant, obviously, people were devastated. My mum was too old. She wanted to do it. But I'm like, you're too old, Mum. You know, she's 80 next year. So she was about 77 when she said, I'll give you a kidney. But it wouldn't have worked. So my husband came forward, my 2 sister-in-laws, one of my brother-in-laws, and my mother-in-law.
Wow.
Came forward, and so they had the initial testing, and my husband and my sister, no one was a match. Apparently, they've never seen that many people go into what's known as the pool scheme. The paired pool. They've never seen that many people try and enter, and only have 2 that could be potentials, because no one was a match to me. I killed everybody in the petri dish. I murdered them. you know. Yes, I murdered my mother-in-law, but that was in the petri dish, not in real life. But yeah, so out of the 5, they said to my sister-in-law and my husband they were the better options, and that they would then go for the next stage of testings. My sister-in-law backed out. Don't know why. I'm not going to ask her. It was her choice. So my husband, he's not exactly athletic, should I say. He's got more of a paunch on him, should I say. He's got more of a beer barrel than a six-pack. But he lost some weight. It's not, you don't have to lose weight anymore. Years ago, they want you to be a certain weight to be a live donor, but now you don't have to be. So he lost about 2.5 stone within up until the day of the transplant, and he had to go through different tests. There was blood tests, there was blood pressure tests, there was a stress test, and he doesn't know how he ran because he said he's like me. I can't run, but he did it, and so we entered the paired pool in October 18, and you're allowed 4 goes. So that'd be the cycle is January, April, July, October. So we squeezed into the October one by the nice people at Hammersmith, and we were unsuccessful. We went into the pool in January, again unsuccessful. April, we went in, again didn't get a match or anything, and we were on our last go, and I was getting worried because obviously you then have to do all the tests again to make sure that myself included was still fit to go for the transplant. And it's usually the last day of the month when the pool opens, and it's literally like a big, I want to say lottery, but it's like a big machine, and it whizzes all your details in and all your results, and they get all mashed together, and you then see if you're a match to anybody. And on the last go, I got a match, and it was I can't even pronounce what they call it. He was a man that wanted to be a donor, not for anybody else but himself. So he came in and gave me a kidney. He didn't, he just went into the pool and just gave away an organ to a complete stranger.
Wow. That is incredible.
Yeah. Unlike my husband, he gave his kidney away to a woman. Obviously, we know she was female and the same age as one of his sisters. That's all we know. She was female, and at the time, I think it was 37 or 38. I can't remember now. No, 38. So that's all we knew. We don't know her name, or we don't know what part of the country she's from. But this man, all I know, he's from up north, and he's 49, and that was it. So he's in a way, he's a miracle.
That's so incredible that somebody would be willing to give such an amazing gift.
Yeah, a lot of people do that now, because when I got talking to one of the nurses who I've known for many years at Hammersmith, she says there's a lot of people that are starting to do it because they may see friends of friends, or they hear about somebody and they just want to help. And if they're healthy, they say, here, take my kidney, give it to somebody that wants it, that can use it. It's like having a live donor card.
So what is the one thing that you wish you had known when you were first diagnosed?
I would say knowing that I had kidney disease, or whatever it was, because I know there's more than one kidney disease. There's like a string of different kidney diseases and different stages. I wish I'd known that I'd had it, and then I could have got my head around it a bit more, and then that way it may have been longer because some people can go for their whole life not knowing they've got kidney disease, or they may go the whole life knowing they've got kidney disease, and they're going to spend that there is going to be an end result having either dialysis or a transplant years down the line. I just didn't have any of that. It was instant. It was rock hard place. I'm in the middle.
And what has been your hardest challenge, and what did you learn from it?
I think giving birth was my hardest challenge, because I'd always been told I could have children, but it would be a C-section. I'll be looked after. I'll be in hospital for a week just to keep an eye on me. But the good thing is, my obstetrician, I had the top man at Queen Charlotte's, and he said there's no reason why you can't give birth. It's because the trauma of giving birth affects your heart, not your kidneys.
Oh. That's okay. That's I don't know what to say to that comment there. So it's okay for it to affect your heart, but okay.
Or should I say, giving birth puts more strain on your heart than it would your kidneys.
Right.
Yeah. Some people may get it's like pregnancy kidney failure, or pregnancy liver failure, or heart failure, or diabetes, but as soon as they've given birth, they go back to normal. So obviously it's amazing how the body actually repairs itself.
So was there ever a point, because you were diagnosed in your 20s, and obviously you went on to have a child, was there a point where there was a question as to whether you would be able to have children?
That's the first. I actually asked that question. I was sitting with the renal counsellor at Charing Cross. She's called Jackie, and I said to her, "Can I have children?" And she said, "I don't see why not." She was so blasé. She was like she was never a counsellor in a sense. There was no chair. It was just literally like you were sitting in like Costa Coffee, and that's what her office looked like. It's like if you go to Costa and you see the table and the chair, that's and the sofas, that's how her office looked. And she was so friendly and warming, and you could ring her up anytime you wanted with the question of anything. It could be daft, it could be not about what you're going through, and she would help and answer it. And she said, "Yeah, you can have children, it's not an issue." And then she actually ran away and asked the right people, and they said, as long as the kid, because you're kept an eye on all the time. Start out you up the hospital like twice a week for blood tests, and then it dwindles down to a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then up to no more than 4 months. And then I was 2008. I conceived, so I'd had the kidney since 1998. So I'd had him 10 years. And he was working perfectly. There was no issues. I had the textbook pregnancy, apart from high blood pressure, but that it didn't cause any issue of preeclampsia or anything. They kept an eye on me, and my consultant said, "You need to be induced because I want the baby out, so we can look after you if anything happens." So Josh was born 4.5 weeks early, weighing £4.12.
Oh, so that gives hope to other women who, they might have recently been diagnosed with kidney disease and are looking to start a family. That really does give them hope to say it is possible.
Yeah, you can have babies that I've learned on having before or after transplant. You know, I met a woman when I had my transplant, and she was on dialysis, and she was pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah, and she was adamant she was not going to get rid of her baby, and she didn't. So she was on. The funny thing is, she was actually on PD. So she had dialysis in a bag of glucose in her body, and they also have a baby in there. So I've got no idea how it worked. Because I know when I was pregnant with Josh, because obviously when you go to a radiographer and obviously have your scans, the kidney doctors are more concerned, want to see the baby because they don't often see babies, and then radiographer who's going to see your babies more like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's a kidney. Let's have a look at your kidney. So you've got two radiographers who are trying to do a job, but they're looking at what they're not supposed to be looking at. And it turned out that the kidney had moved out of the way so Josh could grow.
The body is an incredible thing. It really is.
It's amazing. So I now have two kidneys in my stomach area. One on the right that's working really well. I've named him Bean. Obviously, robust northern Bean because he's from up north. And my failed kidney is on the left. And I don't know if it's there or more. I don't know, because they say sometimes when your kidney fails, it just shrivels up and disappears. Because when they checked my original kidneys, my native ones, they couldn't find them.
Oh wow!
They were that small. They couldn't be shown on an X-ray or any scan.
What advice would you give someone who has just been diagnosed with kidney disease?
Don't be scared. Ask lots of questions, which I've done that 20 odd years ago. Ask lots of questions, and just, if you can, go about living your life as you are now. Don't put anything on hold. Because the last 6 months that we've had, lockdown and COVID, we know that we can survive anything. Doesn't matter if you're who you are or what you are or where you are, you will get through it. And just stay positive.
That's good advice. What are common myths about having kidney disease that you would like to debunk?
I don't know, in all honesty. Because I think I've defied all the odds. I went 20 years of my life possibly having kidney disease and not knowing, and I did everything up until I found out. I smoked, I drunk, I went to parties, I went to school, I did sport badly if it involved running. I did lots of things that apparently we can't do because everyone is supposed to be tired. Everyone's supposed to look ill. But kidney disease is not an illness that affects everybody in the same way.
Right. So, yeah, that is a myth that people think that you look ill or you look a certain way or it affects you a certain way. So, yes, that's really important to know. Everyone's different. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
I would say the NKF. I'd never contacted them directly, but I'd always get their quarterly magazine, which I still read now, 20 plus years on, and reading that gave me more information than I think any Google question would ask, or even asking a doctor, because the NKF magazine is real people and their stories. And yes, you do get the medical side of things, and reading it you pick it up and it's in plain English. It's not a medical journal that you haven't got a clue how to read it.
What does NKF stand for?
National Kidney Federation. Yeah, they obviously with kidney care and the NKF, obviously they're the two main sort of, I'd say charities in a sense. They're the main two that can help you out with questions and answers and everything in between.
Do you have a final piece of advice for our listeners?
I do, actually. This isn't from me. This is from a man I met. I had my transplant, I'd say 1999. I'd had an outpatient appointment with, obviously, with the transplant team. I was waiting for my blood test, and I met a man, and as you do, you get talking, and he was the first man to have a kidney transplant by the surgeon that I'd had for my kidney. And I think he was the first man to be transplanted on in England. And he said, ignore what the doctors say, you know your own body.
That's a very interesting piece of advice.
Because he's had his kidney for 35 years at that point. And he ignored the doctor's advice. And because he knew his own body, that he knew when he was ill, he knew when something was wrong, you know, and he could pinpoint what was going on more than his doctors could. So yeah, I don't think everybody would agree with me, you know, ignore what the doctors say, because I don't at the moment. I'm following I'm textbook. I follow everything now. I check every blood test. I check all my levels, and I know that if I don't wee enough, I know I'm not drunk enough. So I increase my fluid, or if my potassium levels up, I cut down on bananas or coffee. So as I'm a second timer, I am literally going by the book and taking more advice in, because there's more information out there than there is now than there was back in the late 90s.
Right. So I think what we can take from that is listen to what your body is telling you and work with the doctors.
Yes, work with them and tell them, you know, if you think that something's up, keep pushing to have something done. You know, me, I was very blasé. Oh, I'm fine, nothing's wrong. And then you get told, oh yeah, you're failing again. No, I'm not, I'm fine. And then slap bang in the middle, you know, you have swollen ankles, swollen feet, swollen legs, you're tired, you can't sleep. Yeah, I now listen to my body and the doctors.
Yes, I can definitely endorse that.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. There's so much in there that can help and encourage other people. As a woman, knowing, you know, giving hope to other women that it's possible to have children while being a kidney patient. So giving hope that is possible. Also showing people that coming through so much, you're having a first transplant, coming through that, going on to having a second transplant, and you're well and you're living a full life. All of this shows people what is possible. And also what you said about being positive as well, having that positive mindset and focusing on the good and getting the best out of life. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to part 3 of Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast Warrior Women series. And don't forget that you can contact me on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter using the handle Diary of a Kidney Warrior. Please do subscribe to the podcast and please do tell a friend. New episodes of this podcast are released every Monday. Until next time, take care and choose to live.
Diary of a Kidney Warrior. sharing faith, knowledge, hope, and love.